Seeker, welcome to the inner path, beyond the I am. What you'll hear isn't a teaching or philosophy, it's part of a living dialogue born from inquiry into silence itself. These words point beyond knowledge, beyond even I am, to what simply is the nameless presence before thought or identity. If something here stirs within you, don't analyze it. Sit with it and let it speak in silence. Seeker. If we are all one and believe in non-duality, then why does everyone have different minds? Master. In the teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi, the perception of differences, such as the varying minds and thoughts of individuals, arises due to the identification with the ego, or I thought. This ego gives rise to the sense of separateness and differentiation among beings. Non-duality, Advaita, asserts that the self, Atman, is one and the same in all. The differences perceived in the mind are only superimpositions on the self due to ignorance, avidya. The mind is a tool that operates in the realm of duality, creating the illusion of separateness by focusing on forms, thoughts, and objects. Maharshi emphasized self-enquiry, who am I, as the method to transcend this identification with the mind and ego. By investigating the source of the I thought, one discovers that the true I is not the individual mind or body, but the universal self, which is the same in all beings. He explained that just as waves appear distinct on the surface of the ocean but are nothing other than water, so too, the differences among minds and forms are apparent and not real. The underlying reality is one indivisible self. Would you like more specific passages or further explanation? Seeker, would you say that at birth of the body and mind, the ego wants to make its own identity? Master. Yes. According to Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings, the emergence of the ego is central to the sense of individuality and identity that arises in association with the body and mind. At birth, the pure self remains unchanged, but the ego, the sense of I, identified with the body and mind, begins to assert itself as a separate entity. The process. 1. Birth of ego, with the I thought. Maharshi teaches that the I, thought, ego, is the first thought that arises in the mind and serves as the root of all other thoughts. The ego claims ownership of the body, mind, and experiences, saying, I am this body, or I am the doer. 2. Development of identity. As the body grows and interacts with the world, the ego builds an identity through experiences, memories, and external influences. It strives to distinguish itself by associating with attributes such as name, form, and societal roles. 3. The illusion of separation. This identification creates the illusion of separateness from others and the self. The ego perceives itself as distinct and begins to seek security, happiness, and meaning in external objects and relationships, forgetting its true nature as the unchanging self. Maharshi's perspective. Sri Ramana emphasized that this identification with the ego and its created identity is the root of suffering. The ego, being impermanent and dependent on the body and mind, is a false construct. The goal of spiritual practice, particularly self-inquiry, is to trace the ego back to its source, revealing the pure self, which is beyond birth, death, and identity. In essence, while the ego seems to create its identity at birth, this is part of the illusion, Maya. Realizing that one's true nature is not the ego but the eternal self is the path to liberation, moksha. Would you like further clarification or specific practices to explore this truth? Seeker. And would you say our parents and society also play a part? Master. Yes. Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings would affirm that parents, society, and external influences play a significant role in shaping the ego's sense of identity and reinforcing its attachment to the body and mind. While the ego, or I thought, arises spontaneously as part of one's connection with the body, Its development is deeply influenced by the environment in which a person grows. The role of parents and society. 1. Conditioning and identification. Parents, family, and society teach the child to identify with a name, gender, nationality, religion, and other external markers of individuality. This conditioning strengthens the belief, "I am this body," and further distances the child from the realization of the true self. For instance, phrases like, "This is your name," "You are a boy divided by girl," or "You must achieve success," root the ego in societal roles and expectations. 2. Encouragement of duality. Society often emphasizes distinctions between me and others, right and wrong, and success and failure. These dualities deepen the ego's sense of separateness and further obscure the oneness of the self. 3. Desire and fear. From an early age, children are taught to seek validation, approval, and success in external objects or relationships. This leads to desires, fears, and attachments, which are all rooted in the ego's belief that happiness and security are external rather than inherent in the self. Maharshi's view on breaking free. Sri Ramana taught that while external influences might reinforce the ego, the truth of the self is never obscured. It remains pure and untouched, like the sun behind passing clouds. He often said that it is not about blaming external factors, but about using the challenges posed by conditioning as an opportunity for self-enquiry. By turning inward and asking, "Who am I?" one can transcend these layers of societal and parental conditioning to rediscover the unchanging reality of the self. Practical perspective. While parents and society play a role in forming the ego, spiritual teachings invite individuals to question and transcend these influences. Non-attachment. Recognizing that societal roles are temporary and not the essence of who you are. Self-enquiry. Asking, "Who am I?" helps to dissolve the false layers of identity imposed by conditioning. Gratitude and awareness. Parents and society provide a platform for growth. Their influence can serve as a catalyst for self-reflection and awakening. Would you like further insights on transcending conditioning or integrating these teachings into daily life? Seeker. No, thank you, Master. Master. Understood. If you have further questions or wish to explore related topics, feel free to ask. Seeker. Thank you for listening and for walking this path in your own way. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who may be seeking the same silence. You're also warmly invited to leave your thoughts or questions in the comments. If you would like to email, the email is learningandlivingwithramana@gmail.com. Until then, remain still, remain true, remain as silence.